Good afternoon. How are you? Well, it's about 87, 88. Very slight breeze, not a wind certainly today. And it's comfortable. So I'm out for a walk and to think about what's going on in the world. I support a ban on assault weapons. And the assault weapons ban came up in Congress yesterday, on Friday. And there was a vote of 217 for the ban. The Democratic caucus held together, mostly, against 213. So it passed narrowly in the House of Representatives. But here's the rub. It's not going anywhere in the Senate, so it's not going to end up on Biden's desk. I've always thought that actions in politics should matter, that there should be some possibility that using something as a campaign issue doesn't mean distorting the legislative process and voting for something that's going nowhere. And as a good example, I was on Ari's show during Trump's so-called administration, and a liberal rights bill had passed the House, and the panel was excited. And I said, well, that's a great statement, but it's not going anywhere. And I was criticized for saying that. But if I'm going to talk to someone and say, we're going to give you rights, and there's no possibility of it, because then not only was the Senate going to vote against it, dominated by McConnell and the Republicans, but it wasn't going to cross the desk, the resolute desk of Trump. So I am concerned about these open gestures. And, you know, we don't have to make a record of how people in the Republican Party are on this issue. And if you want to really be politically tactical and strategic, there are some Democrats that do better, and I don't support this, if they're quiet about these things and they talk about other issues. So that's my beef about an assault ban going nowhere. The price of gas at the pumps has gone down. I think I paid $4.19 a gallon today for regular. And I don't know, a week or so ago it was $5, and that's too much. I think that the oil companies, gas companies have been taking advantage of us. For example, ExxonMobil and Chevron, they've gone up 3 times in profits while we've been paying more at the pump. It makes you really scratch your heads about the generosity of the capitalistic system, its fairness, its notion that we're all in this together. None of it is true. They're in fact amoral about anything involving profits, cutting expenses, avoiding taxes, paying their way, any of that. So keep that in mind when the Republicans tell us, oh, you don't need to do anything about the environment. We certainly do need to do something about the environment. Biden has had a relapse of COVID, and I think that's a relevant instruction, because what we found, he doesn't, apparently he doesn't have the symptoms, but the test showed that he had a positive for COVID. And it shows that double vaxxed and double boosted make a difference. In our family, we're paying close attention to it because Holly is immunosuppressed. She's doing everything to suppress her system, her immune system, so that it doesn't reject the organ that she has. And also, this is at odds with how do you deal with infections, and so we're taking medication for that. Now, you don't have to be in our situation to consider that, or Holly's situation to consider it, although I think she and I are in this together. Some days I think she'd rather, well, anyhow, you know, you get the picture. You've been there on other matters. So I think we have to continue to be very careful. Masks, distance, all those things. Some schools are requiring masks again. We should be intelligent about it. We can't be like kids and say, no, it's over and I don't have to do anything about it. We're in for a lot of heartache if we do that. I'm always, and have been, interested in the inequality of our justice system. And I think a good example of how bad our system is when we compare it to what's happening to Brittany Griner, who is being held in Russia for having hashish residue, if I understand correctly, that she says was for medicinal purposes. And she's admitted that she had it, so that issue is removed, although I don't know how much of that is a calculation and how much of the doctor's note is a reality, but that's the story. And here's the thing. America is criticizing Russia when in America, if a person of color is found with the slimmest, slightest, tiniest amount of a so-called controlled substance, they'll throw the book at them. And we've had studies that show they are treated disproportionately, disparately, as compared to persons whose skin is white. And I've represented some of these people, so I know of what I talk. So Russia has the same bad system, putting aside the obvious political question of them looking for targets so they can trade and receive Russian, terrorists that we have in our custody. So it would be really nice if we could put in proportion the bills. But perhaps a person of color who's on a basketball team and is an outstanding athlete, if found with hashish residue in a whole bunch of southern states, would find themselves prosecuted with ridiculous sentences hovering over their future. And that's what's happening to Griner in Russia. Now, something different is going to happen because there's a political access here, AXIS, which is going to probably help her come home sooner than what would be a fair sentence. Now, I don't think there is a fair sentence for the offense as reported, less than a gram or whatever ridiculous small amount it is, and it's residue. I think this would be a deferred prosecution in most enlightened jurisdictions. So there we have it, and I'm glad I had a chance to talk to you on this pleasant Saturday afternoon. And here we are in my cathedral of trees, and we're glad you could join us.